It was a beautiful morning on the island of Sodor, and the Fat Controller had an exciting surprise for everyone.
Listen up everybody, there is a steam fair coming to Sodor this weekend, and I want you all working in pairs.
How exciting! The steam fair is back! I hope I can take Elizabeth to the fair.
Not just yet, Emily. I'm going to give out all of your jobs for the fair. Gordon and Rebecca, you two will work together taking guests to the fair on the weekend. Yes, sir.
You can always rely on us, sir.
Very good then. Now, Nia, I would like you to help Henry deliver the steam equipment to the fair.
Not a problem, sir.
Thomas, you will help Toby deliver the tents, tables and chairs for the guests to sit down on. And on the day of the fair, you will go to the docks to pick up a surprise guest who's coming back to Sodor from their long overhaul on the mainland.
No worries, sir. But what will Emily, Percy, Edward and James do for the fair?
They'll each be taking a steam-powered road vehicle to the fair.
I'm taking Elizabeth.
And I'll be taking my good friend Trevor.
I hope I can take Buster to the steam fair.
Then who can I take to the steam fair?
I know. You can take Theo. You might remember him from when we were locked up at the steelworks on the mainland.
Oh yeah, good idea, Thomas. I bet this will be his first time visiting Sodor.
James, I just remembered, there's a goods train at Vickerstown Goods Yard that needs to go to the mainland. I need you to be back on Sodor tomorrow, so you can be at the fair the next day.
Yes, sir. That way, I can pay a visit to the steelworks and take Theo with me.
Later that day, James collected his train from Vickerstown Goods Yard and went off to the mainland. He hurried across the rolling bridge and was on his way. It was a long journey to Bridlington Goods Yard, but James knew where to go. By the time he arrived, it was late in the afternoon. As he was uncoupled from his trucks, he saw a familiar face.
Hello, James. What are you doing here at Bridlington?
Oh, hi there, Hurricane. I'm just dropping off this goods train. Although I do need a place to sleep tonight before I head back to Sodor tomorrow.
You can come with me to the steelworks. We always have room for one more to sleep in.
That's good, Hurricane. But please don't lock me up this time. I still haven't forgot what happened back then.
That evening, James followed Hurricane to the steelworks. The experimental engines were happy to see their old friend.
Look, you two! James is back!
Hello there, James. Good to see you again. Why aren't you on the island of Sodor?
I had to take a goods train to Bridlington, and it's pronounced Sodor, Merlin.
Very well, then.
I've also come to let you know that there's a steam fair coming to Sodor, and I'm going to take Theo with me.
Wait, where are you taking me, James?
Didn't you hear what I just said, Theo?
No, I didn't.
I think he's trying to tell you that he's taking you to a steam fair, Theo.
What's a steam fair?
It's a fair that's got loads of steam-powered objects, like traction engines, steam rollers, and us steam engines too.
It's going to be a long journey back to my home, Theo, so we need to get some sleep early if we're going to Sodor tomorrow.
Alright then, good night.
The next morning, Theo followed James to the canal so Beresford can load him onto a flatbed, as the little engine couldn't travel far under his own power.
So, where are you two going?
I'm taking Theo to my home on Sodor. He'll only be away for a couple of days.
I see. So you two are going to a steam fair, huh? Make sure you get there safely.
We will. Come on, Theo, let's go.
If you're sure, James.
James pulled Theo's flatbed over the Vickerstown Bridge, and the two engines had arrived on Sodor. As they arrived at Vickerstown goods yard, Rocky was there lifting some derailed trucks.
Theo, this is Rocky. He is the strongest breakdown crane on the whole of Sodor.
Hello, James. Who's that little engine on your flatbed?
Rocky, meet Theo. He is taking part in the Sodor Steam Fair tomorrow, and I'm taking him straight there.
Wow, you're so big and strong. Thanks for admiring me, Theo. Do you want me to put you back on the rails? Yes, please.
After Rocky lowered him back on the rails, Theo followed James to Vickerstown sheds where they could rest their wheels from their long journey.
Do we have to wake up early again tomorrow, James?
Yes, Theo, I'm taking you to the Steam Fair, remember?
Oh yeah, I remember now. That was a really long journey we had.
Alright, Theo. Let's just go back to sleep. We've got a big day ahead of us tomorrow.
And so, the two engines fell fast asleep. The next morning, James and Theo refilled with enough coal and water for their trip to the Steam Fair.
Are you ready to go, Theo?
Go where?
To the Steam Fair, of course. You better not get distracted on the way, so you must stay close to me at all times.
Theo followed James as they were making their way to the Steam Fair. First, they had to stop at a junction to let Edward pass by. He was taking Trevor to the Steam Fair.
Hello, James. Did you find someone to take with you to the Steam Fair?
Yes, I have, Edward. This little traction engine is named Theo.
Hello there, Edward. Why is there an engine on your truck? Is he broken down?
I haven't broken down. I'm a traction engine that can travel on the ground. I'm Trevor, by the way.
Oh, nice to see you, Trevor.
Nice to see you, Theo.
Come on, Trevor. Let's get you to the Steam Fair. All the children are waiting for you.
All right, Edward. I'll see you at the Steam Fair, Theo.
When can I go back to the steelworks, James?
Not today, Theo. I still got to take you to the fair.
And so Theo continued to follow James as they went along the line. Just then, Thomas and Toby were passing by filling trucks filled with tents, tables and chairs. Theo was starting to feel concerned.
James, why do these trucks have these big boxes?
Thomas and Toby are delivering the tents, tables and chairs for the guests at the fair to sit down. That's why they've stored all in the boxes for safekeeping.
They look like they have some heavy iron and steel inside them. I don't know if I could pull a tray like that.
Next, the two engines had to stop at a red signal, where Emily was passing by pulling Elizabeth on her flatbed to the Steam Fair.
Hello, James. Who's that small engine behind you?
Oh, hi Emily. Have you met Theo? He has come from the mainland to take part in the Steam Fair.
Why is there a truck on a flatbed?
Truck? That sent your vintage truck to you, little engine. And what was your name be?
I'm Theo. And what's yours?
I'm Elizabeth. Emily is taking me to the Steam Fair today.
It looks like my signal is green. I'll see you at the fair, James.
No sooner Emily had left, Henry and Mia were passing by pulling a long, slow train of steam equipment to the fair. Theo was surprised to see how many trucks they were pulling.
Oh dear.
What's the matter now, Theo?
That's too many trucks. I'll never be able to pull them myself.
Relax. You don't have to pull any trucks to the Steam Fair. I'm taking you there and that's that.
Later, Theo followed James when they came to another junction to let Percy go by. poor Percy had to take George the steamroller to the fair.
Railways are no good. Turn them in the roads. Pull them up. Turn them in the roads.
Will you please be quiet, George?
Percy, what's going on? Why aren't you taking Buster to the steam fair instead of George?
Miss Jenny said Buster needs some repairs, and the only other steamroller she can find is George. And he won't stop saying bad comments about our railway.
Will you shut up, you green caterpillar on wheels? I hate this bumpy ride on one rails.
Percy didn't notice Theo, as he was too distracted by George's rebelling. Theo was also worried about George as well.
I don't think that steamroller's very friendly, James.
Don't worry about George. He's always hated railways and wishes they could be torn out and be turned into roads.
Later that day, James and Theo were still making their way to the steam fair. Just then, Gordon and Rebecca thundered by, taking guests to the fair. Theo was so surprised he got distracted, and he didn't look where he was going.
Oh no, help! I don't like it here! I want to go back home!
James didn't realise that Theo went the wrong way until he eventually arrived at the steam fair. Stephen and Glynn were also there with the Earl. They were both surprised to see James.
Hello, James. What are you doing here at the steam fair?
I've brought Theo with me.
Theo? Who's Theo?
He's a small little traction engine with lots of cogs on its side and always shaking about.
Really? Well, I don't see any engine behind you, James.
Oh no! Theo must have got lost when Gordon and Rebecca passed by.
We're here, Rebecca.
You better hurry, James. Thomas already went to the docks to fetch the surprise guest.
Don't worry, Glynn. I'll go back and find Theo.
James reversed back to the last junction he passed and took an overgrown track to look for
Theo! Theo! Are you here? Theo! What are you doing here all alone in the woods?
I'm sorry, James. I should have taken that turn. I got myself stuck.
But why did he run off like that?
I'm so sorry. I got scared when some big engines raced by. I really don't like it when someone goes too fast behind me.
Don't worry about what you've done. I'll pull you back onto the tracks.
And so, James pulled Theo out of the mud and back on the track. James then shunted Theo to the steam fair, and they arrived just in time as the Fat Controller was about to make a speech.
Thank you all for coming to the annual Sodor Steam Fair. I'm certainly glad you're all having a good time. Looks like the surprise guest is here.
Hi everyone. I want you all to meet Fergus.
Hello, everyone. It feels so good to be back on Sodor.
Fergus!
Theo, is that really you? I haven't seen you for years.
Wait, do you two know each other?
Yes, James. Fergus and I are old friends. We used to work together on the railway with other traction engines like us.
That's right, Theo. Did you miss me, James?
Me? Miss you? Pah! You're the one who's always telling us to do it right.
Fergus may be bossy, James, but he's a very good friend of mine. Thanks for bringing me to the steam fair.
You're welcome.